our New York Times op-ed columnist Charles Blow. Joining us is Jeff LaDuff, Baton Rouge's former chief of police, also former Philadelphia Mayor Michael Nutter. Charles, let me start with you. It's a powerful piece for Mandy because you see a lot of the history, laid out here, and we know the history this week with 2 more African-American men killed by police officers right now. There's always a discussion about having a discussion. We should be having the discussion, always, people say. Is talking enough?
I don't think it's enough, and I think, that Randy laid out, her piece was great, the president laid out the statistics here, but I think what ends up happening is that even the debate around it divests these men of their humanity. I think I always want to circle back and make people realize these are not just abstractions. They don't blur together. These are discrete individual people who are not just hashtags. I want people to put themselves into Philandro's body, the last moments he had on this earth. If you believe his girlfriend, he did all the right things, and that officer filled him with 4 pieces of hot lead. And here he is in that car. The person who has shot him makes no attempt to help him at all. The woman that he loves is sitting 3 feet away from him. He can no longer talk at this point. And the officer's making her, according to what I can hear in the video, keep her hands on the dash and away from him. She can't even comfort him in his last moments. His daughter, his baby, is in the back seat, and he can't even say goodbye. All of the human things that we expect at the end of life, that we would want to be able to do, to say I love you, to be comforted by our relatives, all of that is taken away. You are robbed of all of that in these instances. And I think that we kind of skip past that because we want to have these discussions, these debates. No, this is a human being. They don't blur together. This kind of morbid pornography of running all of these tapes back to back to back, and it kind of numbs us to the fact that these are discrete human beings. And if we can if we can empathize enough to put ourselves in that body of that person and say, what would I think when I know that the life is leaving my body?
Philando Castile, 32 years old, a nutrition officer at a local Montessori school. And I was looking at pictures before of the demonstrations at that school with the students and the teachers coming together to mourn the loss of a guy that they liked a lot and they saw every day, and they miss now that he's gone. Jeff, I want to talk to you as a former chief of police and someone who now works in the community you once served. You've sort of seen both sides of this. We hear a lot of anger today and a lot of frustration today. Harry Houck, a longtime cop, said there's a war on police 10 minutes ago on this show. Diamond Reynolds, the fiancée of Philando Castile, said police are not here to protect us. They're here to assassinate us. How do you reconcile that level of mistrust?
Well, I think in Baton Rouge, the communication has been well. It has gone very well. We have strong faith-based community. We have strong city leaders. And we've been peaceful for 3 nights. The demonstrations are large. People are carrying out with their constitutional right to gather and protest. But it's been peaceful. So for us here in Baton Rouge, we're grateful for that. And we just urge that everyone continues to do that. That's the message that we're trying to carry.
And look, we've looked at protests around the country tonight. There are a lot of people on the street, thousands of people on the street. And by and large, what we've seen so far is peaceful demonstrations, people who want to be heard. A handful of arrests here in New York, but nothing major right now. Mayor Nutter, former mayor of Philadelphia, and now, look, you play politics at the national level as well. Answer the question I just asked to the former chief there. How do you reconcile the unbelievable level of mistrust right now when you have a cop, Harry Houck, a former cop, telling me there's a war on police, and you have Spike Lee earlier on this show agreeing that he thinks African Americans are being hunted?
Well, to the gentleman in New York, the police officer, I think that was the wrong message for today and the last 2 days. He should save that message for another day, and it disrespects both the Castile and Sterling families, and certainly Diamond Reynolds. At the moment, we have no indication that any of the officers were in imminent danger, which really is the standard for using excessive force. that any weapons were presented in either case, whether they had them or not. We have no indication that they were actually presented or that the officers were in danger. So I think that message is completely off base for tonight and for this particular moment. As Charles Blow said earlier, these are real people and real human beings, and it appears in some instances that they are being robbed of their humanity, their dignity, and it is reminiscent, quite honestly, of some of the activities that we know that literally took place in slavery days, where African Americans, especially African American men, were considered less than human, almost animals. So we need to, as President Obama indicated, we need to step back for a moment and really take a deep breath. In America, let's be honest with ourselves and each other about what is going on in the United States of America from a law enforcement standpoint. I lost officers killed in the line of duty during my 8 years as mayor of the city of Philadelphia. So I am very, very sensitive to the dangers that they face. And again, President Obama addressed those issues. But these two in particular, and then you can go back to Michael Brown and Laquan McDonald and Tamir Rice and Eric Gardner and the piece that was on earlier. Something is going on. And so I think that the Justice Department, quite frankly, should call together the 18,000 police chiefs or those who are in charge of law enforcement to have a conversation about what is going on in your communities. And then what are you doing about your use of force policies? How are the officers being trained? What about de-escalation? And you cannot escape a discussion about race. Black men and women being killed over the past few years, and only because of technology and video do we have much more information about what's really going on the streets of America. I praise the folks who are out protesting peacefully. Please do not detract from the message that you're trying to get across. You can get across a message that you want to be heard, but not being violent or destructive, and let the message be heard loud and clear all across the United States of America. This is a problem. It needs to be addressed. Actions have to be taken, but we have to admit, black, white, brown, purple, whatever color, race, religion you are, we have to admit that this is a problem and is not acceptable in the United States of America.
Charles Blow, Chief lit up, Mayor Michael Nutter, thank you so much. We're continuing to watch these protests, these largely peaceful protests unfolding around the country right now. We're going to bring you late developments throughout the night on CNN. We're also going to bring you some late political developments when we come back. The head of the FBI got grilled by a House committee after his recommendation that no charges